welcome to episode 352 of the Board Game Barbecue podcast, brought to you by Advent Games, More Than Meeples, and our legendary Patreons. Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2026. Let the madness begin. I can officially say PlayCon is this year, which is always terrifying, but also fun at the same time. I'm joined by my man Conor, who is maybe Sydney side now, I think.
Let's do two. Let's go. Yes, I am Sydney
Cool.
side by now. No, yeah. So I'm in Sydney at the moment. So that's really cool. Really enjoying it. Catch up a lot of our Board Game Barbecue community mates, which is fantastic. And they're definitely missing our other co-host, mind you.
And we also have Lauren. Lauren, how we doing, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Kind of reeling still from the gym. My muscles are sore. I've recently tried to kind of get back into it, so I feel like a fragile shell of a woman. But other than that, really good.
Technically, though, you would have cheated on that gym hard because you would have been at mine over Christmas and New Year's, doing plenty of drinking and plenty of munching. So
It's true. It's true. So we got to kind of overtime double the work. So yeah.
you're fine.
That's what it's about. That's why you work extra hard in November and early December, so you can earn your Christmas Treatos.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's like when people say they work hard at their job so their dogs can have a good life. That's how I feel about the gym and food.
So what have we been playing recently, Con? What's the go?
What have I been playing with? Some of this stuff harkens back to the last time I saw my family, actually. So we got to play, and I think you like this one, 80, Incan Gold.
Yeah, it's great.
So Incan Gold, it's a really, Lauren's throwing up the gang signs, which means it's absolutely class. Incan Gold is a push your luck game where you are setting out, and I think it's best to play with like 6 or 7 people. I said 6 or 7. Sorry, guys. I said 6 or 7. I apologize. But it's best to play with more people because what happens is that the gems are spread amongst more people, and that way you get less. And I really like how when you take them, you have to divide them by the number of people. So when you leave, it's really fun. I have got the Incan Gold version. Has either of you guys played the Diamante version?
I
Yeah.
have the original. Yeah, I've played that before. That was like one of the early games I played on an early game night. But yeah.
Yeah. I think Incan Gold's the original and then Diamant is the reprint.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Diamant has these little kind of chests
Yes.
that you can put the gems in, which I feel like are top.
Yeah.
What does Incan Gold have? It's like the tents, right?
Tents, yeah, little paper tents that are like half an envelope. And yeah, they're kind of lame. They're not that great. But yeah, like a really fun push your luck game. I haven't played this with anyone that hasn't liked it, and it's really quick. I guess like why I brought it up is I feel like there's lots of games that kind of fill this this type of game now, and one of them is My Gold Mine. Have you guys played My Gold Mine yet? You have 80?
Yeah,
No,
I
I
believe so,
haven't.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's really good because what you're doing is you're shuffling. You can take the gold yourself, and then you shuffle down closer to the dragon, and the dragon can breathe fire. And again, it's more fun when you play it with more people and you're pushing But the cool thing with My Gold Mine is that you can move other people. So you can move people closer to the exit so they can get less gold, or you can move them close to the dragon so they're eliminated. But yeah, these types of games are always fun. Like
Deep Sea Adventure.
Deep Sea Adventure.
Can't stop.
Yeah. Can't stop, exactly. Even like in a way, Archaeology by Phil Walker Harding. That's
Yeah.
a good push like game, like hanging out for the making sure that you don't get caught up in the sandstorm. That's probably a little bit more complex than Incan Gold, but yeah, because you're praying that second it's the second one, right? Yeah, it's the second hazard that comes up. And if that one comes up, then you're out. You lose all your gems, or everyone loses after that. So really good. One of those things where it's like a shared disappointment because then everyone loses. So yeah,
Are you a fly too close to the sun player?
100%, 100%. Yeah. So speaking of push luck games, my sister had no idea that in Sausage Sizzle that you didn't have to pick the sausage, because in the house we were just like, no, you have to pick the sausages. Like, you have to pick the sausages. Like, she's like, what? I could have picked another number. I was like, yeah, but are you a coward? Or are you like, yeah. So
Yeah.
we just those dice might as well have nothing else on them, just the sausages. like as in like
Blanks
still
and
blank,
sausage.
blanks and sausages, because it's like ones and sausages. That's it. Yeah.
On that though, I do prefer simpler push your luck games. There's like, you know, all the Clank games which have a push your luck part, and obviously Quacks of Quedlinburg as well,
Yeah.
early darling of the pod. But I feel like when it's just really distilled to something like Ink and Gold or Can't Stop, even simpler, I think that's just where the push your luck really shines.
Yeah. And those other games have other wrinkles that help you. You know, they've got catch-up mechanics and stuff like that to help you as well. But yeah, it like I agree, and they're great to have like a little game in between of something, or at the end of the night, or even at the start of the game day. They're just good fun to have. But yeah, Ink and Gold, so much
I
fun.
tend to have two strategies for those types of games, right? Play it safe and calm and come second, or play it like balls to the wall, go hard, still come second. Do you know what I mean? I never win those games. Whatever I do, I have the most like unfortunate luck right at the end when it matters. So,
Mate, I've played a lot of games of Flip 7 with you. Not once have I seen you take the calm approach. Not once.
no, you're not in that game. You're right. That's fair. That's very fair. That's a great game.
Oh, great game.
I was lucky enough to catch up with Death for a 18xx day, which also turned into a Age of Steam day, which is kind of crazy that we could get both of those into the one day. And I got to play 21 Moon. I actually own 21 Moon as well, which is great. I'll be able to sort of hopefully table it maybe over Christmas if we can convince some of our partners to play it. Who knows? We'll try that. It's a really interesting 18xx in the fact that all of the 18xx games I've ever played, you have to essentially break the bank to trigger the end game. So let's say there's $8,000 in the bank. As soon as the bank depletes down to $0, the game trigger happens and things start to move. Whereas this one, it has rounds. So you already have a predetermined amount of rounds in the game where you do the different phases in each round and you play through. However, you know, like in a Euro game where you start and you've got like 4 resources and you're like, oh my God, how am I ever going to get any money? And it's halfway through the game and you're like, how am I going to get anything? I've got nothing. This is just nothing here. But those last 2 rounds, it just accelerates like madness and you have all the money and loads of stuff's happening. Well, yeah, I was lucky enough that kind of that was the same kind of thing in that game. You really, it's hard to get moving, but once things get moving, it's great. However, Ben, who was on my left, he went bankrupt with his company. He flew too close to the sun, and I was able to buy majority shares in that company and also run that company. So I was running my own company that I started, a second company that I started, and then Ben's company. So I said that Ben was my PA and he was helping me because it was way too overwhelming for my brain. I was like completely lost and trying to track the turn order, because the turn order really matters at that point because you can really maximize your efficiency and squeeze a bit more money out. I came second, but it was really close. I think it was like $80 in it between myself and Death, and it was like, you know, like $3,500 was sort of the end money for each of us, but it was really close. Great game, absolutely loved it. It has some really interesting mechanics and mechanisms in it that not a lot of our 18x's have that I haven't seen before. Essentially, there are 2, I want to say licenses, but 2 sort of railway networks that you can work on. And one of those networks essentially pays out dividends and you get paid. And then the other one withholds, and then the money goes to the company rather than yourself. And those are the 2 kind of licenses. And essentially on your player aid, you have 2 slots above the player aid and 2 slots below the player aid. And before you take your turn, you're able to sort of allocate the trains to those spaces. But if you fill those spaces and you have 4 trains, which is what I had at one point, you can no longer move them, which becomes really hard because essentially I had my 2 weakest trains that could only go to 2 stops paying out the company, and then my 2 stronger trains paying out money to myself. But I didn't want the money myself at the time. I wanted the money back in the company to buy better trains later in the game. But yeah, that was a really interesting twist on something that I hadn't done before. I've played 18xx games where there are licenses, but essentially those licenses are sort of locked to that company and they have the ability and the permission to run certain railway networks. Whereas this is very simple in the fact that you have those two spaces, and before you move your train, you can move it to the type of license that you wish and progress. I thought it was a really good, I want to say, like, we always talk about next step games. I would say that this is like a next step 18xx. Like, I would say that Shikoku and Chesapeake are great starting games, whereas this one, because of the way the licenses and things work, you really want to make sure you're set up and sort of well versed in what's going to happen so you don't screw yourself and end up bankrupt. But yeah, really enjoyed it. Great day, great fun, great people. It's always a pleasure to play one of those games at Dev's house.
You guys love those train games, right? Like it's funny how it's, those train and economic games are like a sub hobby inside the hobby. Like, we've sort of talked about a couple of different things, and I'm sure, and probably when Def was on the podcast as well, we probably talked about them a lot more because yourself and him probably played it. But we've played like starter the versions of these games that are really slimmed down, and then you can go super advanced as well. So yeah, it's definitely a type of game that I would like to play more and get better at, but I just don't have the opportunities at the moment. Hopefully that improves soon. But yeah.
Well, I'm sure they will improve, and especially Tina has a big 18xx sort of group and lots of people playing those games, and I would really like to see a automated online versions of some of these games, like a BGA 18xx, because unfortunately the 18xx platform online, although it's good and great and has a lot of stuff, you have to manually do a lot, and that can be really hard when you're playing like a turn-based game and you haven't had a turn for a day and a half. My brain personally just doesn't function like that. I cannot keep up. I would look at the board and I'd be like, I don't even know what's happened. Like, I'm lost. And as Lauren can vouch, and I think a few other ex-podcast members can vouch, once I don't take my turns in BGA within a day, it's gone. It's dead.
No,
Lauren,
I feel that.
It's dead. So yeah.
What are you talking about? That game of Just a Robin Hood. We got to a point where we just wanted to see how long we could have it on BGA for, but I think it
deleted it.
It gave up on us, basically.
Is it like a month and a boot?
Something like that. Yeah. And they were like, you're never playing this.
Yeah. So
very judgmental.
Yeah, it's rude. I never said I was going to quit. It just made me. But yeah, I find that really hard. But I would love to see some sort of implementation in that, because I would play the crap out of something like that, like on my phone or something like that. It's just more accessible and easy to play. So yeah. So that was 21 Moon. Really good. Really enjoyed it. If you're looking at like your first next step 18xx game, that's a high recommend. I do think they missed a trick, because they could have done 35 Dune and then had like, Atreides as one of the companies and the Harkonnen as one of the companies and Fremen and all that, and they could have done it on the map. It would have been great. I would have loved.
Do you reckon the crossover of Dune fans and train people is that
massive?
Oh, it's there. It's there.
Thanks, Lauren. Yeah, that's right.
I'll be silly.
Because, sorry, that's something I was going to ask about this. It's obviously set on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, as a kind of seasoned 18xx player, are you ever more intrigued by an 18xx game that isn't set kind of stock standard trains on Earth? I know there's a few in space. There's that Splotter one, which is, or 1830 BC or something, which is about irrigation. So I'm just wondering if those pique your interest more, or you're not bothered.
For me, I actually do like the historical ones. Like, I really do enjoy it, because there is often a good bit of story to them. The Old Prince, which is the one that I made for Death, has a really interesting story behind it, and it always makes us laugh, because we read that sort of front page of the rule book, and it basically goes on to say, this is the most corrupt railway network in the world, and there has never been a more corrupt situation than this. And they basically outlay the sort of gist of what happened, and I always find that hilariously interesting. Hopefully they'll make that an official title at some point, because it is a fantastic game. And yeah, I do like that it's in the future. Like I don't mind that it's now. I'm not someone that's like, it should all be set in the olden days. I think that's kind of cool if they did a Mars one and some other different themes around it, as long as the mechanics make sense. And for this one, I felt they did. I think that the difference in mechanisms outweighs the difference in theme for me. Like, because they're just interesting, and they that's where the fun element to those games comes from. Yeah, 21 Moon. Sorry, that wasn't the sizzling game or nothing, but it was bloody good. So I just wanted to talk about it. So, what about yourself, Lauren?
I got to table the expansion for Grand Austria Hotel, which is called Grand Austria Hotel Let's Waltz. It's one of those expansions that comes with a bunch of modules in the box, and you can kind of plug and play them, which I've got my own feelings about. Sometimes I feel like, did you just half bake each of these, or couldn't kind of work out, just give me kind of one piece? But in this case, I actually don't mind it, because there's one kind of big expansion and then a few other little modules you can kind of plug and play. So the biggest one is the ballrooms. So there's a new resource, which is champers, get champagne, and you got these dancers, and you can kind of spend champagne to get them off to the ballroom. Grand Austria Hotel's already a really tight game. So working out how much you could engage in that versus just actually doing the puzzle, I'm not so sure. I feel like maybe I need to give it a few more tries. But a little bit for me felt like maybe the big expansion detracted more from the main puzzle of the game rather than added to it. I really just like the core puzzle. There's a few other neat little ones that I really want to try. There's kind of asymmetric hotels, which give little powers. I think that'd be really cool to try. And there's a celebrities module, which we did play with, and you can add guests. Like there was Tolkien, there was, Freud, all these kind of historical guests. And I only managed to beat James because he kind of hamstrung his entire strategy just to get Tolkien into his hotel. Then I was able to sail away with the wind in a game that he previously lapped me on the scoreboard. So that was really good. But yeah, there's a few more that I would certainly love to give a try. I'm not sure that it's an essential expansion, but any, though it's very highly rated to people who love it. So maybe I'll give some of the other modules more of a shake, and maybe once I get better at the expansion module, I'll be able to do that plus the main game and then like it more. But yeah.
I think you bring up an interesting point about the expansions that have multiple modules. I think generally they're looked upon more favorably as long as all the modules are balanced in a way that you can either play with all of them, or if it states in the rule book that you can only play with one, right? So, because if it's like, well, you play with as many as you want, it's like, yeah, but is it balanced if I play with two? Like, is it going to be something that's game breaking? I know, for example, with the original Everdell, there was the 3 expansions that you could play with, and they were always like, well, don't play with all of these. That's ridiculous. Like, the game will go forever and the scores will be astronomical. So you'd have to pick and choose which ones you wanted to play with, whether that was the mountain with Spirecrest or Pearlbrook, or the fair, like all that type of stuff. But I'm trying to think of another game where it's just a whole mess of expansions, of like modules in there.
One that comes to mind for me, I don't know if you ever played the game Taverns of Teeth.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of. Yes. Yeah. So that's just like, use this one or use this one or use that one. Like, and I don't think, are you supposed to use them all together, or you're only supposed to use one?
I think that one was a bit more like, just play whichever ones you want.
Make it fun.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Make it whatever's fun for you.
I don't like that.
Neither.
I want to have like a dedicated expansion that it adds a big sort of variety to the gameplay and style, and adds another level of a puzzle where you know that I can still win if I don't dabble too much in it, but I still need to interact with it on some base level. I'm awkward, but I don't want it also to be, you must do this. If you don't do this, you have lost the game. I also don't like that. I'm going to say the Barrage expansion, the Leewater expansion, you can do really well and still win without having to do it. I find that, interesting still. I've still played games on BJ where I have done loads of it and thought I'd get loads of great points, and then just got absolutely whooped by other players who barely interacted with it. So
Yeah, it might very well say in the Grand Austria Hotel Let's Waltz playbook, oh, play with these ones, and I didn't bother to read that far because I
Yeah.
just read the modules that I was going to play with. But yeah, that's certainly one that I want to try a few more times, but wasn't immediately enamored by, which is Grand Austria Hotel Let's Waltz.
do you find it more exciting as well if there's a big expansion? Do you know what I mean? Like, as in, like, it's like, I can't explain it. It's like there's a spin-off TV series rather than just like a spin-off YouTube thing of a show. Like, I feel like a big epic, this is happening. Oh my God, I'm so glad that this is here and this is a monster. Like,
Well, you know, if you say that, Beyond the Sun is one of my top. I love that game. It's a great game.
Yep,
The expansion for that, have you seen how big it is? It's like about the size of Things in Rings, but thinner. And I picked it up. I was like, are you having a laugh? What is this? But it's apparent it's so well balanced. It's really good, but it's just so tiny. It's a bit of a joke for how much it costs. Like, I almost wish it just came in a massive box so I could validate that purchase. Like, give me a coffin box expansion.
Best expansion box by far is Sea Salt and Paper. It's in like a Magic the Gathering booster packet.
Yeah. Also, Pixies, same, right? A little
Yep.
booster pack expansion. That's great.
Well, it's just cards, right? So like, you just put them in the box. There's room in the box.
and it's the same price of a booster pack. It's like $12.
Yeah.
So it's price comparable. Sweet. And Connor, have you played anything else? I know you've been doing some D&D on the side.
We have been playing some D&D, so we're very close to the end of our campaign. So it's been a lot of fun. We had this moment in our last game before Christmas. So we sort of took a break over Christmas time, and they're going to pick it up again this year. But we had one incident early that, and of course Lauren's part of the group now. Of course, I should mention that was my fired up for a couple of months ago, I think. So, but Lauren was part of the group, and before Lauren was part of the group, we had an incident where a young child. I'm throwing up my quotation marks here. This young child was trying to con us into doing something, and it turned out to be. It was like a goblin in disguise or something like that. So what Mark did is he's like, oh, you all come across this clearing and there's a young child and my character has a musket. And I just go, okay, I'm going to shoot at the child. He's like, what are you going to shoot at the child for? I was like, mate, I know you. I know what's going to happen. It's going to be some sort of like spirit that's infected with something or whatever. So, yeah. Lauren, how are you finding it?
Oh, mate. So because I'm coming into this campaign, and obviously, like, it's very well established, the characters, the story, the vibes well established. I just wanted to be this little character that wasn't too much of a big deal, but could just, like, slip in, insert themselves, create maybe some lighthearted moments, but not be too, you know what I mean, impactful. So I made a character called Nibbles, which is, for all intents and purposes, like a completely underpowered, terrible character. But I find that quite funny. Like, there's this really kind of strong party going and doing these epic battles, and then you've got this kind of tiny little Nibbles just scampering along, trying to keep up, occasionally throwing their explosive nuts that they've foraged. Yeah, so that, like, from that point of view, I think it's really fun. It'll be cool to kind of, see how it all ends, hits that crescendo ending. That'll be exciting.
What would have been really good is, I don't know, I feel like you would be familiar with the TV show Scrubs, Lauren. Would I be correct? Okay.
You are indeed correct.
So there was this character that came in some of the later seasons of Scrubs, and it became a romantic interest for JD. And in the story, they wrote her in as being there the whole time, but JD just didn't notice her because she was married. So it was like the wedding ring was like, and I feel like that's what should have happened with you. It's like, no, Nibbles has been in the whole time. Like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's just because you're so little and slight and unassuming. It's just like, yeah. So yeah, so we met Nibbles. We've actually had aside from some Joe who's not playing with us anymore, we've pretty much had the whole slate, which has been fantastic. We're level 11 now, I think, which is really cool. We've got some fantastic powers. Yeah, just so much fun. I think I was talking to Megs, and she was already like, I'm already sad that this is ending. And I was like, yeah, well, we can just start another one. Like, it'd be fine. And then, so I think, there's going to be a couple other people that would like to to DM, which is going to be awesome. That is not me, by the way. I don't have any interest in doing that. It's a bit like board game design. It's like,
DM Devine's got a good name, though. Good ring to
no
it.
way. You know why? Because I'd be like, no, you're supposed to play the game this way, and you're deviating from my story that I've spent hours crafting. And yeah, that would just weak me out, make me sad. So yeah.
Nice. But I would love to try the D&D thing at some point. It's such a big commitment, and my eyes get that like sleep film over them by like 9 p.m. most days, and I see people up at like 1 a.m. playing this thing, and I'd have to play it as like a zombie or someone that has narcolepsy, like, because I would be like, I'm going to bed. This character's out.
We have to check that Matt's still awake. We're like, Matt, have we lost you? And then all of a sudden they'll just be like, yes.
Yeah. Oh, sweet. Well, that sounds awesome. I also, while I was at Devs, got to play Age of Steam, which I mentioned before. It was another map that I hadn't played before. It was the Abraham Lincoln funeral cart map. It was really good. If anyone has that in their collection, hasn't played it yet, high recommend. Very fun. Some really cool mechanics in it in regards to victory points and how that works and how the cart moves around the map. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, always a great game. It's my favorite game for a reason. So yeah, I would like to try and play another map over Christmas with some people, just a new map, because I'd just like to sort of chip away at them and try the different ones. And I have a few favorites that I really enjoy and have played several times now, and ones that I have never played. They're just sitting in there and never had the opportunity to try them. So
it's like Marvel Champions or Arkham Horror Living Card Game, right? Like, this game has so many expansions to it, and they just keep releasing them, and it prints money because the people who are into it, like we said before, are super into it. And, you know, there's so much variation in some of these maps. So was the Abraham Lincoln one, is that set in Kentucky?
No, it's set all over the States, because when he passed away, they
yes, I remember
his body in the funeral cart in a train and took it around for people to visit, and you get bonuses for delivering to where the funeral cart is at the time, but you also have the black cubes and white cubes, and basically when you deliver these white cubes, you get to keep them, and you can trade them in at the end of the game for victory points. And I managed to get a set of 4, which gave me, I think, 7 VP, which didn't swing the game in any particular way, but it was just an interesting mechanism to sort of play with. So I also got to play a little bit of a game with Lauren at my house, which we got to start, but we didn't get to finish. However, I'm sure we'll be able to play it again when you guys visit, or when you have visited, or wherever this time loop is again.
Oh,
I hate
my
these time
God.
loop ones. Oh, God. Great Scott. So, yeah, we got to play Assyria with MJ, myself, and James, and Lauren. And yeah, I think it's a great game. And I could tell that Lauren was really digging it as well. So, Lauren, thoughts?
Mate, I was super into this game. I really, really want to play it again. So this is a game that it's a second edition. It was originally released, I think, in 2009. And then Shem and Sam of Garfield Games came and lovingly helped craft a second edition for this game. And the art style for the game is, pretty similar to that other games. I always feel that art style lends itself best to real world games, so real people, real settings, as opposed to the fantasy. It's just a personal preference. But I think it's really, really lovely. You got these great kind of chunky pieces that you're stacking up into these pyramids on the board. But what I like about it, even though there's kind of an area control aspect to it in terms of kind of having these little areas of your buildings for resource collection, there's these floods in the game that kind of wipe and reset parts of the board. So the parts of the board that are the most lucrative, they're going to wipe and reset. So you feel like if you don't nab the best spot initially, you still can later. And also the kind of demands of what resources you're going to need for certain cards change a lot. So it just feels like a lot of interesting ways that you can kind of go about the game. This really interesting kind of card, I guess, turn order drafting mechanic in terms of getting these resource cards and cards that have these different abilities that will let you kind of draw more cards or gain, influence on a track, whatever. And then also really kind of interesting ways to upgrade your board that also kind of make it a little more unique, because as you're putting out buildings, you're getting upgrades to your boards. There was just a lot to like about the game, a lot of Euro goodness, but with some nice area control that didn't feel too punishing. So yeah, really, really liked it. Very, very keen to give it another whirl. Have you tried it, Connor?
I haven't. It's probably like the one Garfield game that I haven't owned or own. But yeah, like because it came out, I think, was it a bundle with Scarra Bray? Was it that one, or was that the Anarchy? I can't remember. But no, I definitely wanted to give it a go. And I think we have a couple of copies in each of the libraries, so maybe I'll be able to pinch one from the Sydney one. Now that I'm up here, I go see Jules at Good Games, or at where does Jules work again? Let's Play Games, not at Good Games, the competitor. And go and grab it. But so, is it as combo heavy as things like Scarra Bray, or is it more, I guess, that typical, like when I say typical, like the worker placement-y Garfield Games traditional style?
It's kind of neither.
Yep.
It feels like it's really its own thing in
Cool.
their catalog. Like, it's definitely got their touch, but I would describe it more as an area control resource collection management game where, there's going to be different phases. There's a flood, things reset, and there's interim and end game scoring. So you're trying to kind of optimize your position on the board and up certain tracks to multiply the specific things that you've got on the board. So it's that's the Euro flavor to it, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of board game jargon in there.
Yeah,
But
I feel like it's one of those as well. It's super simple to play, incredibly hard to do amazing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like,
yeah.
It's and I think we all felt like we were doing well. Like, we were like, oh, this is great. We're getting some points, and this is this. And all the points were within 4 victory points of each other, I believe, by the end of the second flood or wherever we were in the point of the game. However, I feel that when we played it again, we would be doubling those points almost straight away, because we'd have much better knowledge of the game and then how it plays. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the theme. I got to have a quick demo of it at WellyCon, and that's why MJ and I decided to back it. We both really liked it. And yeah, totally into those games where it's like super simple to play, super simple to table, and then has a high sort of strategy level in that. So yeah, I do love the bidding for the action, or the bidding for the cards essentially, and how that all works. They can knock people off and lose victory points to push people around.
To nab their spot, and then they have to immediately go somewhere else, which might push someone else off. So it's quite this dynamic, really interesting.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
That feels like the most, because it's the order that you get to take that whole row of cards, so it determines what resources you have, but also the order that you're going to be able to go in and take your actions and also bid next round. So there's that part of it feels really, really important and impactful. Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
That's cool.
Well, with that, shall we move on to some massive sizzling games? Connor, do you want to kick us off with your sizzle?
I will kick us off. And we've been doing this podcast for so long, and we've talked about so many games. There's so many sizzling games. I can't remember if I've sizzled this game before. I ever went back through and looked at like the thumbnails and things like that. But what I hadn't played before is the expansion to a game called Crusaders. And the original game is called Crusaders, Thy Will Be Done. But with my good friends Harry, Tom, and Manny, we got to play the expansion called Crusaders with Devine Influence, and that's Divine, not Dev, like my name. So with Crusaders has a really cool mechanic. It's got this like Mancala mechanic, where when you take an action, what you do is you then deposit the action powers in a clockwise manner into the next sections, right? And then your power for that action is based on how many power tokens you have in there. So if you take the attack action, you have the attack power of however many that's in there, plus any bonuses that you might have. So you have some pretty basic abilities in the game, in the base game that's normal. So you've got things like building, you've got things like mustering, which means gives you more strength. You've got Crusading, which is like their version of attacking. And then you have movement, which is pretty stock standard. And then you have Influence. Now, in the base game, when you used Influence, you just got points based on how much influence you spent. So it's kind of like this bailout action of, oh, well, I don't really want to do much this turn, but I do want to shift my action cube. So what I would do is I'd spend the influence, and that way you would just keep turning the game over. The other important thing to remember is that the game countdown is based on the number of effectively victory point tokens that's in the pool. So when you spent this influence, then you were taking away some of the remaining victory points in the game. And that could allow you to push or rush the game if you felt that someone was maybe accelerating towards the end or something like that. But with this Divine Influence, there's a really cool twist, because what you now do is you spend the influence or use the power of the influence, and you get to collect these tokens that give you points at the end of the game. Oh, actually, do they give you points then and there? I can't remember. That's probably important. So they either give you points then and there, or they give you points at the end of the game. But they also then give you a benefit as well. So that might be you get to do, might give you extra points to your mustering, or might give you extra points to your influence or something like that. So I actually felt it was a really cool way to change the game up, and it changes things completely because you seed all of these influence tokens all over, and some of them give you points at the end for a mission. And what happened is that Harry had one, so he really leant into this influence track, these influence tokens, and he then got one token that allowed him to get extra points for each of these influence tokens that he had collected. But it was all the way across the other side of the map, and so Tom went and grabbed it for him so that he couldn't get it. And I actually think Tom, surprised to no one, ended up winning. So if you ever play games with Tom, he just wins all the time, which is really, really frustrating.
I love Harry, but I did sense that he was going to bungle that before you even said it.
That's why I never put myself in a position to win, so I can't bungle it, right? Like, so you're never out there, you can't bungle it. You can't bottle it if you're not the top. But I just really like this gameplay loop of take an action, plan it out, move your tokens through this Mancala. Each of the knights has a specific power. So I think my one was that when I took when I built one of the new buildings, and I'll explain them in a second, then I could deposit my action tokens wherever I wanted. So I could then I could be like, I'm going to put 2 there and 2 there, so I could plan it out really well.
Did you feel like you used that power a bit? And did you feel like the other players had powers that were either equal or greater than your own?
Yeah, 100%. So this is one of those expansions where you've got to use everything, right? Because it balances that way. But there were also, so the original game has powers as well, which the knights have powers. These new buildings, the cool thing about these is they can be built on a site that contains a matching building, right? So, for example, you might have the farm, and then you have the silo that goes with the farm. But you can build the silo by itself on an empty spot, but once that's there, nothing else can be built. So they can be paired up, and they give those buildings bonuses as well. If you're after a game that is, it's not area control. It's not area control at all, but you're moving through, you're taking actions. You do want presence on the board because it allows you to move through areas easier, because when you don't have presence on the board, it will cost you 1 extra movement. And then, of course, then, you might not have that there. Then there's also the crusading, which is a lot of fun as well. You're not crusading against your opponents because you're all knights, just of, I reckon, like a different order. That's the whole point. But you're crusading against like the local people, and I think they're I can't remember what what medieval race of people they are, but you're obviously trying to spread the good word through influence. And Harry had a power where normally you have to influence the ones that are adjacent to you. He could influence like 1 spot away. So that's why he was leading into the influence, because that meant that he could get to these influence spots earlier than everyone else. And we were saying he was like, he was shouting the good word. Have you heard the good word? It's like, no, you were
Have
fine,
you heard
thank
the
you.
good word?
Yeah,
It's quite average.
yeah. It's not really good. Yeah. But yeah, just a really great expansion. I think it's one of those now that if you were to play this again, you would definitely play it with this expansion 100%. It adds so much to it. It doesn't make the game all that much longer. Like I said, we played with 4 and it felt like a decent length. Yeah, it's just a really, really cool expansion to a really cool game. I think it's pretty snappy in terms of its length. And like I said, that Mancala mechanism has enough variety because then what you're doing is you can add more of the powers there as well. And the other cool thing, which I've talked about this on the show before, I would definitely have talked about this power, is that you can upgrade them to each of the wedges and they then contain a duplicate. So then, you might be mustering and moving, which is so cool, right? Because then you can spend points on moving and then muster, and then your next turn you can have a really powerful crusading action or vice versa. So yeah, and everything you do gives you points. It feels like a Stefan Feld game, right? Like everything you do gives you points.
That's what James would do. His go-to upgrade, if he can, is to do more action. He's like, if I can play more of the game, that's what I want to be doing.
Yeah, and you can upgrade them early. So some buildings would give you a bonus upgrade or things like that, or let you upgrade for free. Some of the influence tokens that you could pick up will let you do that. Like I said, let you take a free action. There's already these ones where you have to conquer or crusade the local or the competing races or competing religions, I guess. And then you can then take another action after you that for free, which is cool. And the other great part is that as you defeat more and more of these opposing religions or races, is that they increase in power. So it's good to get in early, but the ones that you defeat that are more difficult will give you more points. So you're really trying to weigh that up. Oh, am I going to give my opponent a whole lot of points and they're ready to go? Because it is really just like one massive efficiency puzzle. Have either of you guys played the base game at all?
I've always been really
Yeah,
interested in playing it. I've always seen it and gone, oh, I would love to try this, and just never, the stars haven't aligned, basically. But
Yeah, so many times I've almost picked this up. And I think the first time I looked at the board and I thought it's an area control game. I have a handful of those. That's enough. And I didn't know anything about it because when you look at the board, it looks like an
Yeah.
area
It
control,
looks
not
like
like
you're
you're moving
fighting.
through the. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to give it a try. I think this expansion, it sounds like what you were saying, Eddie, about the barrage expansion. It kind of just gives you more ways to win, but you can kind of engage with the new building types, Conor. You don't have to engage with
Yep.
them, and it vamps up the part of the base game, it sounds like, that wasn't the most interesting, that influence part. So giving you a bit more agency in this. That sounds really cool. It sounds like a just banging expansion, hitting all the things that Adrian wants out of Barrage.
Yeah, it definitely is. And yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. You don't have to engage in any of it, or you can engage in all of it, right? Like it's it's really, really, really clever. And I think aside from the new influence action, which I played the base game with the influence, and it really was like a bailout or, hey, and I get why it was in there, right? It was probably in there because what was happening is that people would drop their action tokens into this space, and then, you'd be like, oh, well, I don't have enough of this to attack, or I don't have enough of this to muster, or I don't have enough of this to move anywhere worth moving. So I can just do it and gain some points. But I guess what was happening is because those point pools were limited and determined the end of the game, then, it was drawing out of them pretty quickly, and then lots of stuff was being left on the board. But yeah, so that's Crusaders. Devine, the Devine Influence or Divine Influence. If you are interested in the base game, definitely give the base game a try. It is on BGA. I don't know if the expansion is on BGA, but it'd be pretty cool if it was.
Yeah, nice. It does sound great. Sounds something I would really enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to jump in here with my sizzling game because it's not a massive one. However, it is an annual one, and it's one that MJ and I have now done, I think, for the past 3 years. And I'll be the first to admit, I dip and dip out of these things. Like, I'm in and I'm out because of work and life. And the December period for me is so busy. And I know that's the same for a lot of people in this country and all over the world, but really pushing that work schedule to get that holiday break without having to go in on a random day and things like that. However, the Exit Advent Calendar games are just, they are so well produced, so well made. They are hard. I find them really hard. It has easy on the box, which I say every time is quite offensive for me. But I think they're great. It's a great Christmas gift for anybody that loves puzzles, games, even I'd even say things like if you liked true crime and something a bit detective-y, like they're still great. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys have ever played one or anything. We've done the Lego calendars for a long time as well. And I don't really I collect them and just keep them without opening them, but MJ and Finn obviously open theirs and enjoy that. However, I feel this Advent calendar by the Exit Game crew is just fantastic.
I guess my question is that first of all, you need to obviously avoid spoilers, right? Like, so you have
Correct.
to avoid that stuff. And, our community is great. They're not going to spoil anything.
Yeah.
If they're going to do something like that, they'll make a thread to talk about things. So shout out to you guys. You're the best. But I guess the other thing is too, like, there's no spoilers, but do you feel like you have to do it that day? Otherwise it builds up. Like, so do MJ and Finn sit down and do it until it's done? Like,
So on the day when it comes out on that morning, if we're both busy for work and have a busy schedule, we'll try and do it that evening. And if then that happens and it's too busy and then we do it the following day, they'll just double down and do two while I'm at work. And I
okay,
haven't got an
yeah,
issue
yeah.
with that. I'm not like, oh, I missed it. But sometimes you're able to still go, okay, well, this is what happened. And then I'll explain it to me and I'll just be like, I never would have got that. Like, and for us, we definitely use the help book a fair amount, I'd say, for probably like 40% of them. Like we need clues to get through them. I mean, we were so excited we did the first day without a clue. We did a dance to We Did Not Cheat. That to our own song. We didn't cheat. Yeah, we didn't cheat. Like, we were so happy that we didn't need a clue.
It's not cheating, it's being helped.
Yeah, okay, fair play. But yeah, it's really, it's just a great premise. And I like to see that they still are being released year on year. And I like that you don't have to have this year's one. If you've missed one and you just want to get a different one, you can get a different one. You don't have to be like, oh, this is this year's one, so I have to have this year's one. Otherwise, I'm losing out. Okay, granted, there might not be as much stock for next year or whatever. But if you find one on sale and you just pick it up, you're not locked into this is the 2025 one. You must do it this year. So
Yeah, that's what I was going to say as well. There's such a back catalog that it doesn't matter when you get into it. And it's not as if they're themed around a particular year. You could take any of them. And in fact, if you get the ones from earlier years, they're probably cheaper as well. Yeah, I think these
Yeah.
are great. I think these are absolutely excellent. And I also think that you don't have to love exit games in general to like these, because each of the puzzles is much more condensed,
Yeah.
right? And they can be a bit more, because the whole thing is the exit games are disposable anyway, but there's a greater sense of disposability, I think, for the advent games. No one's interested in repackaging it to resell it, the advent
Yeah,
calendars
yeah,
of it. So
yeah.
I feel like they can be a little more adventurous in terms of how much and what they get you to do to manipulate or kind of destroy the product. My brother has been playing these for a few years with him and his wife, and they're not huge board gamers, but they're kind of getting more into it. They're playing their Cascadias, the Harmonies. I think for them, this has been excellent. And I think that there's just such a broad appeal to these. I think they're so good, so interesting. But I'm a stubborn prick, so I can't do the hints. I have to sit there and brute force this little puzzle. But yeah, they're great. They're great.
My attention span does not allow for that. I'm just like, if I haven't got it in like 6.5 minutes, it's like, I'm done. I'm out. And there has been times where I'll just leave it and I won't touch it, and MJ will persevere, and I'll look at the clues and go, like, I know how to do it now. It's really annoying. And I won't say anything, but MJ will figure it out on her own and then go, oh yeah, I did this. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what the book said. But I'm not upset about it. I just need it to be over sometimes. You know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
I have to know. I can't wait. And I love and respect all of the hardcore puzzlers and people are like, I categorically will not use that book. And they'll spend a whole day thinking about it and rethink and rethink and rethink. It's just not how I work. So
But I think that is that's the sweet spot though, right? Is because they are designed to be so much shorter that even kind of with maybe a gentle hint or nudge that you can get it in that really short time, whereas the exit boxes are meant to be an hour.
Yeah.
And like that's just too much for some people. I also feel like it really hits on exactly what this time of year is meant to be about, which is just sitting together
Drinking.
with loved ones, doing a little puzzle.
You drink to get through them, and then to celebrate getting through them. So like you get to double.
I didn't cheat.
Yeah.
Let's have a drink. Woohoo. Yeah. No, it's great. They are fun, and I highly recommend anybody that's never given an exit game a go or anything like that. It's a high recommend to do it as a family activity on the lead up to Christmas.
So how does Finn find them? Because you kind of mentioned MJ doing the puzzles, but what does Finn reckon?
Finn definitely, I would say, struggles because they are quite hard, some of them. But the fact that he will sit there and be like, mad tangent 1, mad tangent 2, and he's just thinking of these different ideas. Could this link to this? What if that means that? And the fact that he's trying to use his brain in that capacity is worth the value itself, like for me. And sometimes he's like out there in deep space with his ideas. I'm like, there's no way it's that, man. But sometimes he's on the mark and he go, oh, that must be this because it's a yellow thing and blah blah blah, and then they're all like, oh yeah, then everyone can kind of work on it together. So he has more patience than I do. Let's put it that way. He if I pick up that clue book, he'll be like, no, you don't look at that yet. We've got more time. And I'll be like, well, I don't. You do. But I'll leave them to it. Like they'll be fine doing their own thing. But yeah, I think that for me, it's like I've said this before about these games, that I can't sit there forever thinking about it. It's just not the way I work. However, I have mad respect for people who do and love it. But I just think it's a great family activity on the lead up to Christmas, and they're always good. Like we've done, like I said, 3 or 4 now, and they've always been great. So, and that's the exit game advent calendars. So Lauren, what about yourself?
I have been playing the absolute mess out of a small box game that has been reprinted. I don't even know how many times. The game is Botswana from Ranakinsia. Someone mentioned to me once that they think it might have been reprinted 7 times. Like he's just riding that gravy train. Like it's basically the river of chocolate in Willy Wonka, but it's all gravy. Like it's such a good game. It's so timeless. It has been reprinted by 25th Century. I picked it up. I believe it was in the Kickstarter with the Ra expansion, maybe? Pretty sure it's coming to retail. It's a lovely addition. It's got these huge, chunky, lovely wooden animals. So this game is dead simple. All you're going to do is you've got a hand of cards. The cards are different animals. Each animal is numbered 0 to 5. And then on your turn, you're going to place an animal in its stack face up. So say I have an elephant card in my hand, I place it with the elephant stack. And then I take a meeple of any animal. So irrespective of what animal I place down, I just pick up an animal. And then those animals that I take are the things that are going to score. So each elephant meeple I have is going to score what elephants are worth at the end of the game, right? They're first come, first serve. So once they run out, that's it. The game's going to end when all of one animal's cards have been played. So all the cards 0 to 5. For one animal have been played, the round ends. But the wrinkle is each animal is only worth the last card that was played in its stack. So if I have an elephant and they're worth 5 and then someone bungs a 0, all of a sudden elephants are now worth bubkis.
Right.
That's literally the whole game.
That's so
it's so simple. And what's great about it is that you kind of, because you know the numbers are 0 to 5, right? You set aside some cards depending on the player count. So you basically know what cards are going to come out. Like you know that there's probably still that 2, but because some cards are set aside, maybe the 0 isn't there.
Yep.
And my elephant's going to be 5. So like, do I rush and put all my eggs in the elephant basket, Or is then someone going to just waiting until the last moment until I've done that and then hit them with a 0?
So like you said, sorry, when you said some cards are set aside, they're randomly always set aside.
Yeah, you don't know
never
which cards
predetermined
are
anything. Yeah, perfect.
not in there. So it could be the case that the elephant is not in there. And so someone's doing this double bluff that they pot down the 0 and then they're just holding on to the 5. And because you have that card, you also might have the power to control when the round's going to end. Yeah, that's the whole game. It's so bloody good. It's so good. It's simple to the point where you think, how did no one think of this? How is there not another game that's exactly like this? But I guess it's just been around for forever, right?
1994.
Yeah, there you go. It's about as old as me. So I played it back to back with Soda Jerk at the Brisbane Game Day. And it actually gives me a similar vibe to Soda Jerk, really, the Chris Yee game. But it's just this breezy, Moorish card game that you can play back to back to back. This is 100% for, I don't even know the next however long, going to be my go-to opener at a game night. It's going to be my go-to, you've never played games before, let's play something simple. It's going to be my go-to kind of let's close out a night. Everything about it is just great.
Amen. If there's one thing I love is some chunky animal meeples. Just
mate,
the best thing ever.
There. Look at this.
Is that a weasel? Is that a
There's
meerkat?
a little meerkat. The fact that they got meerkat's my favorite animal. So, yeah.
When's someone going to have a meeple of my favorite animal, the killer whale? Where's my killer whale meeple?
Oh, mate, it's crying out for.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I actually think
they had
the
a
art
bad
is
rap in the 90s, so no one wants to
What do
touch
you
them
mean?
anymore.
They freed him.
I think in reality, in reality, I think he killed a fair few people.
No, that is lies.
There
has never been a killer whale fatality in the wild.
Correct. I would say that's probably true.
The art, I'm going to bring us back on track. The art is Webberson Santiago. I've always raved about his art. Same guy that does The Bloody Inn, Kelp, Dracula vs. Van Helsing. Love his art style. It can be mean. You can be a prick because you're basically seeing, gone as all the meerkats. I'm tanking meerkat. This essentially super simple kind of stock game in a weird way.
Yeah. Sure, being mean, like, again, if you sit down, you play this game once, and you're like, I didn't like that because Lauren did that, then it's fine. You've probably only spent 15, 20 minutes max, right?
Yeah.
Including a teach.
Yeah. That's what you want from those kind of games for sure. And that was Botswana by Rainer Knizia. I'm sure I'll have a reprint at some point again. If you
number 8.
Again. All right, sweet. Well, with that, we shall move on to some announcements and news. I'm just going to say it outright. PlayCon's this year. It's official. We're in the PlayCon territory. Yeah, very excited. ICC Sydney tickets are on sale now. To be honest, I haven't checked the thing, but I would not be surprised if we're like past 40% sold at this point because it's consistently ticking away there. And yeah, huge thanks to the community for supporting us on that. We couldn't be any more grateful than we are. It's amazing. We're very humbled by it. So
I'm so excited for some of the stuff we have planned. Like, it's so cool. The fact that we're at the ICC, was the TikTok event center.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. Yeah. You have to make a TikTok account and start TikToking.
No, let's not. No, the only two people who are allowed to make a TikTok account of all of us are Lauren and Jules, and that's because they're the youngest out of all of us. All right.
That's fair. One could be Tick and the other could be Talk. And they little matching shirts.
Are you telling me you don't want a barbecue TikTok account that has Dana doing all the TikTok dances?
Okay, so that's the two extremes, right? It's like it's got Dana because she's the nana, and then you guys TikTok nana. Yeah.
And it comes up at the top and it's like that time where, you know, you bought the same board game twice and didn't realize, and then you do a dance, and then it's like Adana's doing her dance to that.
Just a dance to WAP.
So, in some other news, my mum has now officially got her flights and will be there at PlayCon, which is really exciting. So she's offered to volunteer and help, which is terrifying.
No, mums do not need to volunteer and help.
Yeah,
like unless
exactly.
Maybe I can convince my mum to come up. I'll work on that.
You should. It'll be good.
Yeah.
And then we also have the Brisbane Game Day at the Royal on the Park on the 28th of February, and the tickets are available on Eventbrite. So That's always a good laugh and good way for the community to get together and hang out in the new year.
You know that game you've been wanting for a long, long time? The one that's been on your wish list for ages? Yeah, that one. The one you've been adding to your cart and taking off again, umming and ahhing about whether you should get it or not? Well, I'm here to push you over the edge and say go to adventgames.com and add that to your cart right now. I bet you that Dean has a great price on it. He's got great customer service, flat rate shipping, and there's so many other goodies to explore on the website. Wonderful categories all organised to pick the exact game that's right for you and the group that you play with. So head over now, don't hesitate, to adventgames.com.au and add that game to your cart now.
So, last week's question of the pod. Oh, diggity dog. That was a lot of answers.
Yeah.
It was good because as soon as you do something controversial, everyone has an opinion. Some have opinions that are bigger than others. Some have like dissertations. Talking to you, Kenny, there's nothing wrong with that, brother. It was very, very interesting to read. I tried to keep up with it, but it was a lot.
If you're on our Discord, all right, and I know this episode has come out a little bit later than this last question of the pod, but go back and have a look through and see if you can find it. It is so well written.
Yeah, 100%.
It's so good. It's a bit of a shame that
the best bit about it was that at the end he jumped into the TCG channel and was like, hang on, there's a TCG channel in here.
That's because you shadow dropped it. You didn't tell anyone. Yeah. All of a sudden, then you're tagging me. I was like, I didn't even know we had a TCG channel. But
so the last question of the pod, just so everyone can catch up on that, was if a TCG requires hundreds or thousands of dollars to stay competitive, is this a design flaw or just part of the hobby? So Conor has the Facebook answers.
And again, like if you
deep breath,
it's probably easy to go back and find this question of pod on our Facebook page as well. By the way, so some really great stuff from some game designs, people who I'm going to talk about in here. So the first one is Lachlan Albert. The competitive space for TCGs isn't the only space to participate in then as a hobby, which means the flaw is not creating the environment in which different levels of play are enjoyable. Looking at Magic as the biggest in the space, a competitive modern deck format will cost you $1,000. A competitive legacy format deck will cost you more. A competitive standard format deck will cost you a couple of hundred, and a competitive pauper format deck will cost you 100. And being competitive in sealed or draft costs you the price of the event and entry and some good play. Allowing people to spend $1,000 and fully invest themselves in a TCG as a hobby is good design. Precluding them from an enjoyable play if they don't is bad design. So I guess what they're saying is that it's fine that it costs money, but the fact that it's stopping you from potentially like gatekeeping is bad. TCGs and mini games and other collectibles are much wider systems than typical board games, so creating environments for them to be played at different levels is key to allowing players to enjoy the game no matter their investment. That's great. Well done. Thanks, Lockie. Sorry, I went full teacher mode then. I didn't mean to. I think it was really good. Thanks, Lachlan. Carl Van Ostren, some chump, says, in today's market, I'd call that a flaw. There are ways to make TCGs accessible for any budget while still offering upside for those who want to spend more. The only caveat is that most TCGs need a fair amount of content, i.e. a new set of cards, to stay fresh and relevant. So I think it's fair that you'll need to spend a little to keep each set current. Of course, Carl has made his own TCG game as well, a digital one. So that's of course I was being facetious when I called him a chump. He's a good friend and a great member of the community. Jonathan Kalia, so another game designer. I think accessibility in card games is a decision. Deck building games and living card games solve this issue by selling all the cards in the sets. There is no such thing as rarity in these games, so there is limited appeal for collecting cards except play the game. The issue with the buy stuff as a set model is that it forces people to buy all the cards at once rather than just the cards they want. It means that if customers want to use 3 or 4 cards to build a new deck, they might need to buy 100 cards just to play with them. That's not the case with trading card games. Yes, and as I'm sure Lauren can talk about too, because of course herself and James are playing have played and are playing lots of Magic. You can buy singles for a particular card. Yes, it's going to cost you a little bit more money, but you can also, at least you're buying that card that you want. So you're not buying a whole set. Whereas, as I think Jonathan alluded to, like with the deck building and the LCG stuff, you have to buy the entire set to get them. Keith Dillon Franks, who's also a games on and of card games as well. I think perhaps trading has changed to mean more like a stock market than exchanging cards with a friend. You're 100% right. Where you're always price speculating, holding cards for a price rise, selling out at the right time as a way to be able to keep the current with a game like Magic the Gathering or what it looks like Rift bound to be. Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't think there's much trading going on anymore. The only trading of Pokemon cards that goes on is through Pokemon TCG Pocket on your phone. That's the only trading that happens, I think, for me. Jamie Lawrence says, competitive is the key word here. I play a lot of trading card games or TCGs for fun, not to win. And it doesn't cost thousands of dollars. Either way, it's an erroneous to call it a flaw. It's the way those games are designed and part of what keeps them fresh. Honestly, there's always been a bit of a look down the nose attitude towards TCGs from the board game community, but they are very different beasts that both use paper. Yeah, I think what we're talking about is that if you we mentioned this, right? Like if you wanted just to play together or whatever, it doesn't cost you all that much money. But I think it's silly to think that it's not going to cost you a whole heap to be competitive if you're probably pushing in those high levels. And Daniel Stapleton says, I call it a business. It's how they make people spend more money, and it's on purpose, just like slot machines. And I 100 agree with that. It's addictive, opening up that feeling of opening up that pack of what could be in there, maybe hitting it, maybe not. Like, yeah.
And when you see videos of people popping like the Pokemon packs and things like that, I feel like it really drives home that part of it. So from Discord, yeah, just shout out to Kenny's post. Check it out. His essential thesis is that it's how the businesses are designed to function that incentivizes people to get and purchase more packs. Whereas for LCGs, for example, you buy it once and then you don't have a return customer for that product. And so they're able to clear the stock and incentivize people to buy more, which he argues is ultimately healthy for the TCGs as it keeps them living and thriving and people playing and engaging with them. Raze in Discord says, I went deep into TCGs for many years, kicked off by Magic the Gathering launching when I was at uni and played competitive for a while, as well as playing heaps with friends. I played a lot of them both physically and online. Some are a bottomless money pit, and I truly believe they are designed to be that way, to suck people in and then rinse money out of them in a regular cycle. The dopamine hit of opening packs to find a rare/card you need is huge. These days, I'm far more selective and try to avoid TCGs/CCGs or collectible card games like those. Riftbound is calling me hard though. Plowner says, no better than loot boxes in video games, gambling, normalization for real life. RJ says, TCGs requiring a constant spend isn't a flaw, it's an active design choice made by publishers so they can make money. I feel that the grind exists on a spectrum from acceptable to exploitative, and unfortunately most games land closer to the latter, although I do acknowledge that free games are unsustainable. My bone to pick, however, isn't that the games are pay to win, they are pay to compete. Jono says there are two parts to TCGs, the competitive scene and the play at home with friends/make a night out of it where you have a fun casual draft. I would think that any TCGs needs to cater to both. Is it a design flaw? If you need to spend a lot of money to stay competitive, it's a choice for that scene, and as long as consumers know what they're getting into, I don't see it as any different to pricey games. It can become predatory if companies are deceptive about the competitiveness of common cards versus rare cards and expensive cards, though. If you can make a choice to spend what you want to enjoy/collect a TCG, then really it's fine in my eyes. This is where I end up getting into Lorcana, SWU, and Riftbound over other games out there. These three cater nicely to casual at-home play and fill a niche where I can spend as much as I want and on what I want, and I can collect or trade as I want. But that's a whole nother discussion. Some great responses there.
Yeah.
Epic.
Yeah, really good stuff. I tend to agree. I think that the problem maybe becomes more the companies don't really do anything to stop, aftermarket gouging and these crazy secondhand markets, which is really where the value of these cards lies. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting conversation, and certainly one that stimulated a lot of discussion in our community.
Well, it is time for a new question. And we have obviously now we are in 2026. So PlayCon is on the technical doorstep. We essentially are doubling the capacity, right? Everybody knows this. Going to the ICC is a much bigger thing. And we need to increase our library to offer more games and different games for people so that there's games there for everybody, essentially. So for people who haven't been to PlayCon and for people that are veterans of PlayCon, we would like to ask you all, what games would you like to see at PlayCon and why would you like to see them there? So, yeah, that could be a variety of things. I mean, we're very lucky to have someone run, say, Blood on the Clock Tower for us, and that was amazing. We're very grateful for those people who run those sessions. We also have people running things like the oversized Ready Set Bet and doing all the call outs, and that's by Lachlan, who was mentioned earlier for one of the answers to the question of the pod. So just sort of keeping that in mind, sort of not even just the event games, what actual games do you feel like, oh, that would have been great to have that? Or potentially would you like to see at PlayCon? Maybe there's a game that you've always wanted to play, and by going to a convention like that, that is something that you believe you could potentially borrow from a library and get played. Maybe Nemesis might be on your top list and you never backed the Kickstarter for whatever reason, and you're like, man, I would love to sit down and play that, and I'd be willing to put in the time and the effort to teach that to my group because none of us own it, and I missed the opportunity to get it when it came out. So yeah, what games would you like to see at PlayCon and why? Lauren, I know what you'd like to see at PlayCon and why as well.
What's that, 80? What would I like to see?
You want to see Uwe Rosenberg's games there because you're selfish. That's the why.
I own the ones I want to own. I think it is a big a shocking blind spot in our library, and this probably comes with a bit of knowledge of understanding what games we do and don't have. But I feel like there's a lot to be said about just staple classics that someone has never purchased A Feast for Odin, but they want to try it. We should probably have it.
Yeah, I do agree. I just want to annoy you about it. That's because I knew it was your one.
My actual answer is probably some funky card games, right?
Yeah.
I think kind of simple family weight games and card games are the thing that I would love to see more of. That a family comes up and something they can say, you know, here's Dodo, here's Botswana, here's something that you can just set up and play, and I can teach you, I can commit to teaching you because it's going to take 5 minutes and then you're off to the races.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I would love to see things like Botswana. I would love to see things like insert simple game here. I don't know, Connor, help me out. My mind's drawing a blank.
Simple game. No.
Gross. Who's playing this?
Well, I can tell you something that was funny. We obviously were very fortunate enough to be sponsored by Osprey Games last year, and we were given multiple copies of Flip 7 to.
That's kind of where my brain was going. Yeah, but everyone's got that now.
But well, do they? Because the following game day, like 2 months later in Brisbane, had no copies of Flip 7. And I said to this family, I was like, do you like blackjack? And two of the sons were like, oh yeah, we love blackjack. I was like, oh, I've got a great game for you. I'll be right back. And I looked through the library, couldn't find it anywhere.
Like games like,
no copy of it.
You know, the ones you probably talked about, Lauren, you know, like the Scouts, you know, archaeology, all those types of games.
Illusion.
Yeah, you know, they're
Illusion's a
fun.
good one.
Oh, I don't know if they're funky, but they're definitely classic. And look, they might be in there too.
I would like to say more crazy kind of Japanese card games, trick taker games that I probably wouldn't play myself. However, I know that there's people that are way more versed in this in the community. One of them's right here at the table with us. And they would be like, oh, that's that crazy Japanese card game that I really wanted to try from Tokyo Game Market 2 years ago. And I never got it. And it would be great to have some stuff like that in there for people to try. So
look, if there are enough responses, there's interest generated by me in the Discord to have perhaps, you know, an international or Japanese kind of games night as a official event at PlayCon. If that's something that people are really interested in, I would love to hear, you know, what the interest is and what kind of things people would want to play for sure.
Anything sticks out for you, Connor, in particular?
Warhammer. We need Warhammer in the library. No, I'm kidding. No, I think at the moment, I would love for us to have a really hot off the press release. That would be really cool. Like, something that, we could be like, hey, you can only get it here at PlayCon, even if it's like through, Dean or one of our other distributors or something like that. Like that would be really, really cool. Maybe one of our guests can bring something over. Maybe Leader Games can hook us up with something that's fresh. If you're listening, guys, that would be really cool. But yeah, there could be maybe some more miniatures games. That could be really cool. But I've only seen a couple of them played. But we've got a bit more space. We might be able to have some sort of dedicated area for that. Bring a bit of class to the board game people. Us miniatures gamers are renowned for our, hygiene, our sociability, all that type of stuff. We'll bring that to that. Yeah, but that would be cool. And of course, we're doing the painting too, so you can either paint and take. You can bring your minis to paint. Someone last year bought a very interesting looking mini to paint and made sure it didn't look like a particular part of the human anatomy, and he explicitly told me that when he sat down to paint it, that he didn't want that to happen. So yeah, that was good fun.
One other quick thing I would like to say, we did do a Magic the Gathering draft last year, which was sort of you pay entry fees to join into, but I would love to see more of that stuff. Like, I'd love to see a Riftbound version of the same thing, not for selfish reasons, for the community, obviously. I wouldn't be able to attend anyway, but I would just like to see some of that sort of stuff in capacity there. So
I would love for there to be a Riftbound one, and you could almost make like a 90 Disney's movie of Finn's rise. He gets there, he gets knocked out in the semifinals, but it's a double elimination, so he goes in a loser's bracket and has to go up, and he meets the person that eliminated him in the semifinal, and the final he wins, and then it has like Hearts on Fire from Rocky playing in the background. That's what I want. I want that.
I'm going to add as well Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, because it's a game that you don't have to, because you can only play it a limited number of times, but if you get the chance to try it, and it's maybe the best game ever
made. Maybe as in it's not, but it's okay if you think it is.
It's the best game ever read, because there's a lot of reading.
Wow.
What if we had like read?
Maybe you got 6 minutes of exit patience. I don't expect to play Sherlock.
What if we had a instead of, right, and I love our little quizzes and things like that. What if instead of that we had a fresh mystery that people had to solve over PlayCon? Imagine that. Imagine how cool that would be.
Mate, we're cooking something up. Let's just say that. We're cooking something up.
It wouldn't be Sherlock Holmes. It would be like Bruce something. I can't think of an Aussie last name.
No. What it can be is if anyone can help me find my hotel key card, that can be the mystery solved. That'd be really good.
Bruce Snags.
Bruce Snags, perfect.
Bruce Bundy.
Oh, Bruce Bundy's good.
Bruce Bundy, consulting detective. So good.
G'day, Cobber.
Yeah. Right, sweet. Well, that is us. So we just want to know what games you guys would like to see at PlayCon. Potentially, maybe we can try and start scouring the secondhand markets for some of these, or maybe even some kind donations will flurry through our doors. We do not know. We shall see. We'll put that in the socials and let us know. Thank you very much. Right, just a big shout out to some new Patreons. We have a new Patreon. Sarah, ex-host of the podcast, has become a Patreon, which is great. And I'd say that she probably would be attending the Jackbox night that we already have run. We will see. I'll update you on my theory. Maybe she'll attend. But yeah, massive thanks, Sarah. We do really appreciate it, mate. And we know that you know how much hard work goes into this. And also, if you want to become a patron yourself, please visit patreon.com/boardgamebarbecue. You can sign up to donate to get exclusive access to our Patreon pods. We just did the 12 pods of Christmas, which every year I think is more and more insane because it gets like, it gets close, like mid-November, and then we start recording podcasts and the normal podcast. And then there's sometimes we're recording like 3 pods in a day. to have everything lined up so that on the 13th of December, we can release podcast after podcast and everyone has a really amazing Christmas gift by just getting to listen to us spout on about a bunch of rubbish, including Lauren and my subject matter, which was, Lauren, do you remember?
Well, our Spotify wrap up.
We did a Spotify, but we also did random question off where we just asked each other those random questions.
It's similar to my one with Dana, just so unbelievably unhinged. My one with Dana was the top 10 lists, just dumb. Just
yeah. And Conor and I did our TV wrap up, which we do annually, and that's kind of really nice. I really like doing that as an annual thing.
Except I think there's a show that potentially could have been in our top 10. We mentioned it, by the way.
100%. We did mention it. Yeah. And I can guarantee, I don't know if I'd put out my number one show or anything from that year, but it would definitely have been mentioned and talked about ad nauseum. So
it'll have to be our mid-year.
That's our mid-year one again. Yeah. That's it. And I love that one too. So it's great. There's also plenty of other ways supporting the podcast and the board game community in Australia. You can buy a ticket to PlayCon. You can buy a ticket for a family member, like Conor buying his mum a ticket and me getting my mum a ticket, and just share the word, man. Just tell people about it. Bring your friends to PlayCon. Come to the game days. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts or even on Spotify. You can leave a 4 or 5-star rating if you're really feeling generous. That would be awesome. There's also the Discord community. We talk about it all the time. It's awesome. Hanging out, talking rubbish, reading dissertations. It's great. So yeah,
that was definitely the most high quality post there's ever been on our Discord.
Kenny is high quality. Yeah, I've been to a wedding with Kenny. I know Kenny's high quality. So I was the one that was not high quality. Lauren's face says it all. Yeah. Links to this stuff is all in the show notes. Thank you very much. Happy New Year. Boom. What are we fired up for? I can tell you what I'm fired up for. I am fired up for, because essentially we are now recording this midway through December, everybody's, just so you're all aware. That's why we keep talking about this weird time paradox. This time of year, the time paradox gets really compounded against each other and it gets very confusing. However, I'm blessed to have Lauren come and stay with me for Christmas and also a bit of New Year's. So I'm really looking forward to that. We've got a bunch of stuff sort of planned. We're going to do smoked turkey. We've got dino ribs going on. We've got all sorts. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. So
I hope you know, Lauren, that you get invited to 80s for one reason only.
And that's James.
Yeah, it's 100% James.
Oh, look, it's okay. I am very aware of the fact that he's the kind of fun one that it brings the life of the party, and I'm there. But no, I feel, I wasn't sure if I could mention this because of our weird time warp as my thing that I'm fired up about. Now I feel like a prick that I didn't put it in as well.
You imagine that.
Other thing that I'm fired up about is a purchase of what might be the single most obtuse, niche, ridiculous card game that no one will play. When you say no one's going to play this with me, no one will play this with me. It's the same guy who designed Nikosu Dice, designed an even harder trick taker called Final Binary. I spent much too much money acquiring that and having it sent from Japan to me. So it's Yusuke Matsumoto who designed that, and he's got another one, and I'm just super, super, super jazzed to try it. Someone please play this game with me. I don't know how I'm going to get this played.
For sure. Me, you, James, and MJ will play it. Yeah. No, as long as it has me thinking, I love those games. I love the brain crunch for sure. It's just I don't know what Japanese games are even available because I don't even look. Someone puts it in the front of me and we go, we're playing this, and then I play it. That's it.
Yeah, but that's what Final Binary and Xmas with 80 is what's got me fired up.
Yeah. Conor?
Yeah, well, Christmas as well. Like, just a great time to play board games and stuff like that. Our top 10s, so you will have listened to our top 10s already, but I'm excited to hear everyone else's top 10s. I like to hear about games that people love, so I'm excited about that. And I've got a cool new roll and write, scratch and write, this thing called Tend. So it's delivered recently, and I will hopefully be playing it over Christmas because it's at my mum's house. Because I'm getting lots of stuff delivered to mum's house because of the we talked about the weird time warp. So
that's the one with the really lovely box art, right?
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was really cool. So yeah, really excited. And mum was like, "There's a package here for you," and I was like, "What the heck?" But yeah. So anyway, 10. So hopefully I will have played it already. But I'm fired up to get it in my hands. But yeah, looking forward to 2026. Holy crap, I'm old.
Yeah, it's flying by. Also, something else that I was excited about, which has already happened, obviously the Boxing Day party, but we're getting the puppy. Walter will be at the house. So it's kind of cute because
Jelly.
MJ named him Walter, and BQ, our other dog, is named after a podcaster, and his co-host is Walter. So
right.
they are like a little duo, which is super cool. But yeah, I hope he hasn't got the personality of Walter because he has an acquired taste. Let's say that. So, but we love him, so I'm sure it'll be fine. Anyway, that's enough for us. Happy New Year, everyone, and yeah, we'll see you in the near future. Thanks very much. Bye.
Peace.
Bye.